the road again. We can't wait to get on the road again. Telling stories to our family and our friends. We can't wait to get on the road again. On the road again. We can't wait to get on the road again. Telling stories to our friends. We can't wait to get on the road again.
Welcome to our monthly AAA podcast, Affinity, Allie, and Annette on the road to good storytelling with your hosts, Allie Spooner and Annette Mori.
Hi, I'm Allie, and welcome this morning. And I also write with Affinity, and I have multiple titles that have been published. I touch on many genres from romance to paranormal. I have numerous series, and lately I've been trying to focus on standalone books and even a short story every now and then. I hope you enjoy our podcast and have an opportunity to meet some new authors that are new to you or to learn more about your favorites. We appreciate your support and invite you to visit Affinity Rainbow Publications to check out our books.
And I'm Annette Mori, also with Affinity Rainbow Publications, and I'm always chasing Allie. She's much more prolific than me. I do, though, finally have over 30 novels, and so I think I can call myself a real author now.
Okay. Each month, we invite a special guest to join us as we discuss various topics of interest to readers and writers. This month, we're fortunate to have our boss lady, so we have an opportunity to grill her.
Wow.
We'll invite our guests to do a short reading and then follow with questions on the featured topic, while encouraging them to do at least one giveaway to our audience.
And this month, we're talking about a topic that's near and dear to our fearless leader, holiday Christmas stories. She loves this time of the year. So it's going to be a fun day today. And Julie, stand up, show everybody your wonderful Christmas outfit.
I'll move a little. Can you see? I've got that. Can you see it? I've got the hat as well.
There you go.
Yay!
We can see it. Looking good.
Getting the weight on for Mrs. Christmas.
That's right. All right. So following our podcast, we'll upload to a newly created YouTube channel and hope you'll consider subscribing so you never miss a future podcast.
So let me introduce Julie to you. So J.M. Dragon was originally born in the UK. She is now a New Zealand citizen. She adores her animals, 3 cats, 1 alpaca, and over 100 bantam chickens. She also has a side passion, her business interest in Affinity ebook press, though she sneaks time in to write when time allows. She has over 30 published novels, 12 co-authored novels, and at least 14 individual short stories included in anthologies.
So without further ado, Miss Julie, boss lady, you're on.
We'll let you go first.
Oh, for the reading you made?
Yeah.
Yes.
Are you ready?
Oh my God.
Or do you want me to go first? Do you want us to go first?
No, actually, to be honest, as I rarely do this, I'd rather go first, and then if I mess it up, you can re-record it. Okay, I'm going to do an excerpt from Wanted for Christmas, a novella I wrote in 2019. Belle Farrow glanced around the colonial house she'd lived in for 8 years. The lack of work from the temp agency after the professor's death 3 months ago had been another in a long line of problems that had beset her. Graduating from Sheffield University 10 years ago with a minor in domestic science and English language, though her parents had been supportive, albeit from a distance, it hadn't been the result she had hoped. Her dad had agreed to pay for her studies on the proviso once she graduated, she made her own way financially in the world. It had sounded a simple enough and easy plan to follow. Now, on reflection, she wished she'd taken up computer studies or something more technological. There were hundreds of vacancies in that area, except she was inept when it came to computers and technical stuff. Her cooking skills were good, No match, unfortunately, for a decent chef's position. Her ability to keep budgets, etc., had been passable, hardly enough to demand a prestigious housekeeper's job in a paying establishment. From the first year, she'd managed short order cook jobs, and several positions later had ended up as a cook housekeeper for her old English professor at the university, who had advertised for someone temporarily. That temp job lasted 8 years until the professor had a heart attack and died in his sleep. Having loved the old man dearly, she'd been devastated. He was more of a father figure in her life than her own had ever been. Normally at Christmas, they would have a quiet day together with a few of the professor's friends and a couple of her cohorts from the art class who were alone that year. This year was different. The professor's only relative, a spinster cousin of indeterminable years, had issued Belle with an ultimatum: pay the exorbitant rent or leave. Scratching her head in frustration, Belle gazed half-heartedly at the vacant positions in the local paper, dismissing many jobs as way out of her league. She began reading the casual work column. They wouldn't pay the rent, barely enough to pay the utilities. Dropping the paper on the coffee table, she sank into the professor's old armchair, pondering what the professor's advice would be in the circumstances. Her muddled mind didn't come up with a darn thing. Picking up the newspaper again, she decided that her options were limited. There was a chance to be a pixie at the local mall for a couple of weeks. They might pay better than the never-ending cleaning jobs. Glancing at the next column, she frowned. In that column, people advertised for all kinds of things, not usually work-related. How odd. The ad made her smile. Wanted: housekeeper, cook, nanny for the period of Christmas until the new year. Board, lodging, and a small allowance available. Immediate start to the right candidate. Interested parties apply to D. Reed, Box 111, Sheffield Street, Post Office. Belle chuckled. You don't want much, do you, D. Reed? Why didn't you just ask for a temporary wife? Excuse me. Some people place the strangest ads. It's a scam for sure. Tossing the paper into our art valise, she could peruse it better over coffee after our art class. Later, you can't be serious. Someone placed that kind of ad in the wanted column. Talk about desperate, Jodie Alice and their friend remarked. They were sitting drinking coffee at the local cafe opposite where they took the art class. Here, read it yourself. Thrusting the paper across the table, the page opened to the advert. Definitely desperate, or some kind of weird joke, Jodie laughed. Well, if it's true, I'm sure they have a good reason, Belle softly replied. No, please don't tell me you're considering this position. Jodie glanced intently at her. Not exactly, although it would solve my problems for a few weeks, she shrugged. Who knows, it might become a permanent temporary position like with the professor. Don't go there, Belle. It could be a crazed maniac out to snare a hostage for all kinds of nefarious reasons. Besides, you can stay with me Christmas Eve and Day. You know that, right? I know, and thank you. Doesn't solve my financial problems. I need a job and some place to live. You're leaving town for the bright lights of Raeburn on Christmas Eve. Somehow staying with you at Jamie's wouldn't quite go down well. Belle placed a hand on a friend's arm. Thanks for the offer, though. You know I'm going to go crazy with worry if you take this job. Ah, but they might not want me. I could always say to, she looked again at the ad, name of the ad, D. Reed, that my friend needs to check him out first before I accept. Jodie shook her head. I think you need your head examined. I get it though. Damn, why do we need money so much to have a decent existence? Pulling at her lips, she added, that's not such a bad suggestion, the checking out part. Belle laughed. I know. The more she looked at the ad, the more it appealed. After all, it was nearly Christmas and lots of wonderful things should happen and do happen. Later that day, she wrote a short letter to D. Reed as per the instructions and posted it an hour later. As she dropped the letter in the mailbox, she wondered if she'd done the right thing. Well, what the heck? With my luck, we'll throw it in the trash. Do you need more? Are we good?
That's
Good.
good.
Hey, that was what was that from again? Can you tell us again? Can you tell us again what that reading is from? What is it?
It's a novella, Wanted for Christmas.
Wanted for Christmas.
Christmas,
Okay.
yeah.
Sounds great. In fact, I'm not sure that I've read that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I know. I thought I'd read most of all of the books that you've written. So now I'm going to have to go out
Oh,
and get it.
maybe I sneak the odd one in that nobody knows about.
I know. Wanted. Okay. Well, it sounds really great.
Well,
Is it available on Amazon or is it just on the?
yeah, it's a novella, so of course it's not printed. However, it is everywhere else on the distribution network. Yeah.
Wanted. All right. Good job.
Sorry about the middle bit. I am a tea drinker and it is morning. Yeah.
Different times for you and I. And okay, so I guess so Allie and I wrote a Christmas story together. Julie wanted one, and so we said, okay, we'll write one together. We love writing together. So we wrote a story that's kind of the lesbian version of the Dickens classic. It's called Humbug. And I'm going to do the very first scene, and Allie, I'm not sure what scene she's going to read from, but we're gonna tag team each other on this one.
There you go.
Here we go. Everyone is capable of murder. Isn't that what they say? Well, I'm about to commit my first one, Barbara grumbled. Your hot boss giving you titty fits again? Darcy asked with a wide grin. One time I mentioned how attractive Miss Scragg was, and you have to rub it in every single time. Well, I can tell you, I don't find the woman attractive at all right about now. Darcy, Barbara's best friend, chuckled and raised one eyebrow. Sure you don't. And I bet you have hot new junk bonds to sell me that will turn my measly 1,000 in savings into $1 million. Darcy waggled her eyebrows. Why don't you wiggle that fine ass of yours and melt that ice queen's black heart? Shh. She barely knows I exist unless she needs me to work the holiday. Then, all of a sudden, I'm indispensable. I finally grew a backbone. Tammy's surgery is too important. She's terrified this time. I threatened a lawsuit because killing her would have been too messy, Barbara said with a tiny amount of pride. Thank the goddess I've just passed my 1-year anniversary with Scrage Financial and am eligible for family medical leave. Good for you. I still say you should use your assets, if you know what I mean, Darcy winked. Listen, if I were so inclined to pursue someone with your bits and bobs instead of the ginormous dangling appendage I tend to go for, Darcy gestured with her hands to indicate her preferred size. Ew, do not tell me all about your propensity for attracting men with large dicks. I'm just saying, you're a catch for someone interested in women. Right, sure I am, Barbara answered with a fair amount of sarcasm. Because who wouldn't want to hitch a ride to my messy life train? Single mother with special needs child and mounting healthcare bills? Special needs? That sounds like Tammy is a child with a developmental disability. There is not a damn thing wrong with that child's brain. She's the brightest little girl in the whole world, Darcy insisted. Barbara chuckled. The whole world, huh? Rather bigoted of you to categorize children with disabilities as having something wrong with their brain. Damn, when you're right, you're right. My bad. But you know what I mean. Okay, you get a pass just this once. I suppose I prefer that versus saying the C word out loud. Telling eligible women that my child has osteosarcoma really sends them running. Most understand that means bone cancer. I suppose I should qualify and say special medical needs. The only reason I'm not quitting is because Scrage Financial has comprehensive health care coverage. I can't imagine what my out-of-pocket costs would have been, even with a generous medical plan. They don't cover everything. No insurance plan does. I fucking hate that woman. All I'm saying is there's a fine line between love and hate. Didn't you tell me you saw glimpses of Eben's humanity? She didn't have to offer you the Cadillac health plan at no extra cost. You said none of the other reps has your plan. Plus, she started that after-school program and kept it open during school breaks. Doesn't she even pay for the buses to transport the kids to Scrage Financial? My place of employment doesn't have anything equivalent, I'll tell you that. You work from home. Why would your company need to provide busing? Darcy grinned. True, But I doubt they would even if I had to go to a physical office downtown. Office space is expensive and the cost of staffing the center is nothing to sneeze at. Barbara huffed. You're right, of course. That was a nice thing for her to do, but I've no doubt it's only so she can hold that over my head and all of the other parents who make use of the program. Money is the only thing that motivates that woman. I'm still unsure how she learned about Tammy and my need for a robust health care plan. Probably one of her spies. Didn't you emphasize how important a comprehensive health plan was to you at your interview? Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. At least she doesn't know I'm queer. I might have let her assume I'm married to a man, but I can't figure out why that even matters to her. Maybe she is interested, but she's afraid you'll sue her for sexual harassment or something, especially since you're misleading her into believing you're straight and married. You did just threaten a lawsuit when she asked you to work over the Christmas holiday. Doubtful. I'm not revealing this to Miss Scrooge. Oops, I mean Scrage. But if the name fits, Barbara giggled. But I was planning on taking my laptop with me so I could work while Tammy is in surgery and afterward while she's resting. I'm sure I can sneak in some time to connect with my clients and do the research necessary to recommend different investments tailored to their needs. I take back my previous praise. You have in no way developed a backbone. I rarely get to see you anymore, Darcy whined. I'm never canceling another date to hang out with you unless you promise you won't go running off to your haughty boss as soon as she pulls out her dog whistle. That's just mean, calling me a dog. If the panting fits, Darcy laughed. I regret ever confiding in you about my boss. In my defense, it had been a long time since I'd had, well, you know, sex, an orgasm, a hookup. Yeah, hon, I know. You can't blame me for that. I even offered to go with you to one of those sapphic meeting places. What the hell is a sapphic meeting place? Do you mean a gay bar? Barbara asked. We have a gay bar? No, I meant to one of those protest marches. Pretty sure they're ripe with women who wouldn't mind tapping into that. Darcy waved her hand up and down Barbara's body. I don't even know how you're my best friend. Enlightened you are not. Despite all my best efforts to educate you about the current political climate and the dangers it presents to all of us, not just the LGBTQ plus community. I keep you entertained, Darcy deadpanned, and I love your little munchkin. She'll have to do until I decide it's time to settle and pop one out on my own. Barbara shook her head and smiled. You are good with Tammy, I'll give you that. Thanks for spending the day with her and the evening, she added. Working late is becoming a habit I will have to break. You're up next.
All right. All right. So we've learned a little bit about Barbara and Darcy. She's just a card. You're going to love her input into the book. I'm picking up in chapter 2, and mine's a lot shorter than Annette's because I didn't want to give you too much information, but I'm going to give you the good side of Eben Scrage. Thank the goddess it's Monday. Very few people look forward to Mondays, but Eben did. She had a secret guilty pleasure that from an outside perspective would be at best seem odd and at worst appear creepy. Eben suspected she wouldn't see the one employee she went out of her way to catch a glimpse of, but at least later in the afternoon she could go to the after-school center and visit Tammy. After the first day Eben had seen the child read in the Wall Street Journal, she couldn't resist checking her after-school center to see if Tammy might be there. A lot of her employees made use of the Innovative Center as an alternative to traditional childcare. If Evan was so inclined to have children, she would want them to be exactly like the bright child she met sitting in the reception area, quietly reading. To Evan's absolute delight, she had strolled to the after-school center with the excuse that she needed to ensure the center had everything they needed for a robust program, and found a young friend sitting in the corner reading again. Eben wondered why Tammy wasn't playing with the other children. There was something so fragile and vulnerable about her, and it tugged at Eben's heart to see her sitting by herself. It reminded Eben of when she was a child and didn't share the same interests as her peers. Eben had been curious to learn what Tammy was reading, and they started another conversation. Ironically, it was easier to chat with Tammy than with most adults. Eben had never questioned Tammy's motives. With adults, there was always an angle. Eben had started bringing books she thought Tammy might enjoy in her daily visits to the center. For a child, Tammy had a highly insightful view of what she read, and Eben found she thoroughly enjoyed hearing Tammy's perspective. Tammy's confessed that she read many of the classics Eben brought, so Eben had to get creative with choosing new books, obscure works that very few people heard of. Of course, she also had difficulty finding novels appropriate for a child to read. She didn't think Tammy's parents would appreciate Eben offering books with adult themes. Glancing at her watch, Eben noted it was finally time to walk to the center. Emerging from her office, she barked at her assistant, "I'm heading to the after-school center. I prefer you answer my phone versus letting it go to voicemail." "Of course, Mrs. Scrage." With a smile on her face, Eben pushed open the doors and looked around at the large, brightly decorated space. Her disappointment was immediate when she didn't find Tammy in her usual spot. Then panic set in. Tammy often had paleness about her that screamed sickness. Eben had never asked, and Tammy had shared nothing about her health. It was like an unspoken agreement between the two of them. Her laser focus was redirected to the employee who ran the after-school program. "Where's Tammy?" "I don't know, Miss Scrage," the bird-like woman answered. Eben took a calming breath. If she wanted information, she needed to alter her tone and not scare the crap out of this woman. She could kick herself for never asking Tammy's last name. The only thing she knew for sure was that one of Tammy's parents worked at Scrage Financial. An uneasy feeling crept inside as the puzzle pieces began to shift into place. Eben forced a smile onto her face. "Do you know who picks Tammy up at the end of the day? I'd like to check and make sure everything's okay." The woman's head bobbed up and down. "Yes, her mother, Barbara Craig. She's such a lovely woman." Eben could feel the blood drain from her face. Why did Dad give that woman such a hard time about taking time off? It all made sense now. Obviously, the health issue was likely related to Barbara's request for family medical leave. Fuck. She would have to violate Barbara's privacy by going to Human Resources and discovering exactly what was wrong with the child. "Are you okay, Miss Scrage? You look a little ill. Maybe something is going around." Eben waved the woman off as she stalked to the Human Resources Department. She only hoped that her director wouldn't give her any grief regarding her need to review the FMLA paperwork Barbara had submitted. So I'm keeping it short there.
Awesome. Okay.
I was even shorter.
So those are our Christmas books that hopefully you'll be interested in checking out. Humbug, and it goes live. It's on pre-order now and goes live December 1st. But let's get into questions. So it looks like you had a little friend there that is helping you out with this podcast. What's
Yes, this is Ray. Ain't it, Ray?
What a little sweetheart, huh?
Yeah, she's 2. Are you 2? One day she'll answer me. Her sister's just been in as well, but she was sending all my paperwork everywhere. So these are my dumpster rescue cats.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, she was patiently pacing back in front of the door, waiting for you to invite her in.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Oh, well,
Yep.
yeah. Well, I kind of half shut it. When I first got them, as soon as I started talking to anybody, they used to run away. But now they're getting more used to me speaking to people, so they will come and sit with me. She generally wants the chair I'm sat on, but you know.
Yes. All right, so we have some questions we'd like to ask. So, why do you love Christmas stories so much?
Why do I? Why not? Why not? Well, I think it's when I was a kid. I mean, obviously I was growing up in the UK, and I come from quite a humble background, shall we say. So there wasn't much money in the house or anything, but I always recall that my dad always used to make sure that I got a book every year, and it was often Christmas themed and stuff. And I think from then on, because I love reading anyway, it just it was just part of the whole scenario that I enjoyed. Oh yeah, I'll actually get a, you know, my own book instead of having to get one from the library or something, because I, you know, always got books for Christmas. So I guess it started then, and obviously it's not changed. I just like it. I mean, I like seeing people happy, and with stuff, so much stuff going on that's bad in the world, whatever, you know, wherever in the world you are. It's, to me, it's a holiday that you can actually just sit and just enjoy the people that you're with, your friends, family, whatever. Yeah. I don't know what else to say, really. I mean, it's just to me, it's a wonderful time. I mean, I just like it.
I get sucked into both Christmas books and Christmas movies. I have to admit, I do
Yes.
get sucked into,
Yeah.
because there's always some kind of like a magical element about, you know, the stories, and yeah, they're
Yeah.
always happily ever after stuff. So yeah.
Well, I mean, you can't. I mean, obviously, you've obviously read A Christmas Carol quite a lot, because
Oh,
obviously you based your homework
Yeah.
on it.
Yeah.
And I love that. I actually adore that book, because it's got everything in it. It's got all the angst. It's got the bit of a frightener in it, you know,
Yeah.
but not too much. Doesn't, you know, send you crying out of the door or anything. But it's got the happy ending.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I like the happy ending. I mean, I prefer books with happy endings. I never read a book that's got a bad one.
Yeah.
And if I have to look at one on a submission basis that's got a bad ending, oops, it's not my favorite thing to say. But yeah, I mean, if you look at quite a lot of books that were produced for Christmas, you get the angsty bit in there, but you always get your happy ending.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably just helps the whole scenario.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So I know Affinity does, we seem to do a lot of Christmas anthologies. This year we didn't do a Christmas anthology. Instead, we did the novella. But tell us about, you know, those anthologies. What was the origin? When did you say, gosh, let's do an anthology? Where did that come from?
Well, actually, it started many years ago when Erin and I started the company. I had lots and lots of short stories that obviously we weren't publishing them as such, but quite a few of them were Christmas ones. And so I think she said to me one day, "Oh, why don't we put an anthology together? You know, with some of your Christmas stories, 3 or 4 of them, and just put it out there for free." So that's what we did. So there's certainly 3 on the website. I think there is a 4th one which I pulled for some reason or other, pulled it off. Maybe I was going to actually do something with it better, but time hasn't been kind to me of late, so I haven't done anything with that. But there are 3 collections that generally are just my short stories, because I love Christmas, so I always did one. So that's where it started. And then obviously I just talked to authors and said, "Oh, do you want to join in on a Christmas anthology?" And I'm very lucky that my authors do like to do that too. So yeah, so that's how it started, and that's why we still produce them. We haven't done one for a few years, and that's with all the COVID things, and obviously Erin O'Reilly dying and lots of stuff. But then I asked you to, if you wouldn't mind, because it's been ages since we've had a Christmas story out, and I literally didn't have the time to write one. And fortunately for me, yes, you did. And here it is.
Yeah, we did. And we had fun with it.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's it. And that's the whole idea about writing anyway, that you do actually have fun writing, because otherwise it is just a major chore.
Yep.
So, but yeah, that's how it all started. And we do other anthologies. I mean, there's a mixed one of different seasons and things. Ali did one which was Essential one. Yeah, and I actually started many years ago. I think you're talking 20 odd years ago. when I was quite actively going on groups and talking, that we started an Halloween theme thing. I started it, of course. I always do. And then people just said, oh, I've got a little story that might go in there. Can we do that? So I collected quite a lot together. And I think there's about 4 or 5 people who actually contributed to the Halloween Tryst, well, I think it's called, anthology. And it was just, we just messed about when we were talking for an hour, you know, and we wrote this thing. And then I just made sure it all gelled together. So we, you know, so it's like a book.
Was
But
that
it was
the,
literally just people
was
talking.
that the witch things?
Yes.
Yes, yes. That was
Yes.
fun. I read those.
We could have gone further with it, but obviously we then moved into producing our own books, creating Affinity.
Yeah.
I mean, that's on the website. It's for free. It's not, I mean, some of these free things aren't the best edited, but it doesn't, at the end of the day, it's just the story you're reading. So it's just a bit of fun.
They were fun.
They do.
Yeah. Do you have a preference as far as the length of a story? Should it be a short story or novella or a full-length book, and why?
I don't mind at all. Personally, I don't mind. I think sometimes novellas work better because a short story you don't really get to know any of your characters particularly. I mean, not in depth anyway. But with a novella, you can actually develop your characters and you see that bit more of them. And a full-length novel, obviously, you can go on forever. I think if I had a choice, or rather if I was forced to make a choice, I'd probably go for a novella.
Yeah.
Which is generally what I write anyway when I do Christmas stories. It's generally more novella than short. I've never written a novel length book for Christmas.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, I think there's only one Christmas story that I did that was a standalone, but since then I've always written a short story for the anthologies that was utilizing characters from existing novels. Because then if you'd read the novel, you already kind of knew the characters.
Yeah.
Because like you said, it's hard to develop characters in a short story. It makes it difficult unless you're using existing characters from previous novels. How about you, Allie? Has your short stories been standalones for the Christmas anthologies or extensions of novels?
Yeah, the extension of characters already written in a novel somewhere.
Yeah.
Whereas I do new ones generally.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't even remember. Because it goes back like my first book that I ever had out was 25 years ago, maybe more. I forget what I've written. It's terrible. I really should know what I've written, but I'm thinking, did I write that? Oh, okay. It was such a long time ago. So sometimes I may well have actually used some characters from an older book, but I can't remember if I have or not unless I go through some of the things that have been produced, but nothing recent, shall we say.
Yeah, I think I've done the Cowgirls, and I think I did one with the Cast Iron Crew.
Yeah. I've done some from my debut novel. I've done some from the characters from Unconventional Lovers. Let's see what else. I can't remember, but yeah, I think I've often used books with previous characters. And
well, it's a good thing to do if you can find the story, because of course, as you say, your readers have already are comfortable with those characters, therefore it's just an extension of their life and what they're doing. The book that I read from earlier, Wanted for Christmas, I actually intended to write an Easter scenario with those characters to basically complete a life circle with them.
Oh,
However,
right.
I mean, I have got the notes. So maybe one day I will actually sit down and do that because I enjoyed writing those characters, and when I actually enjoy writing characters, I can actually produce a series, because of course my very first series was, I think there's 7 books in that series, so it goes on quite a while.
That was the one
But
set on our ranch, right? Yeah, that was a good series.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah. Define Destiny was the original
Yes,
story.
yes.
Yeah. And then I just carried on and just carried on and carried on. And I mean, I'm thinking, I think I better end this sometime. So I did end it. Hopefully, where you had a feel for the characters and what they were going to do
Yeah.
with their lives afterwards, in a sense, I guess. But I can't recall doing a Christmas version. I just can't recall. But I mean, there may well be a Christmas. And in fact, I do know there is a Christmas part in some of the stories, the actual novels themselves, but they're not like standalone short stories that went in anthologies.
Right.
So, of all the holiday Christmas stories you've ever written, which one's your favorite and why?
The one I've just read from, actually, because like I say, I just enjoyed writing those characters, and it was just a bit different. You know, I wasn't taking the theme from another Christmas story, etc., because I've done that already with quite a few. I tried to create this one that was new and just a different way, whereas someone is replying to an ad in a paper for a job, and it was just over that Christmas period. So that's what I enjoyed it, and I liked the characters because they were different. Plus, I did use some scenarios which I have had myself with my chickens and things like that. So I put a bit of myself in there as well, which I think we all do anyway with every book that we write. But that was it just made me laugh. When I read those bits again, I'm just thinking, oh God, I remember doing that. So it was, and you know, I do remember. I mean, with living now in New Zealand for this time of year, of course it's summer.
Yeah.
And I do actually miss the cold snow and the bright lights and things, because you don't really see that here.
Yeah, you can have it. It's pretty cold and miserable here.
Yeah. But I mean, for that period of time, you know, it's because I was brought up that way, you know, it's cold and dark and it did used to snow way back when I was a kid. It used to snow. It always seemed to snow, you know, for Christmas. So I miss all that. So when I was writing this, I was kind of putting that into that book because it was a scenario I liked, you know, I remember so well. And I don't do that now. I mean, I think that is probably the only thing that I dislike, and it's not really dislike about living in New Zealand, is that it's summer at Christmas. Right. And it's taken, I mean, I've lived here 22 years and it's taken me it took me the first 10 years just to get over the fact that it was warm. Christmas Day and things. And everybody goes off on their summer holidays and I'm thinking, oh.
Well, you can always come to the States, you know, not in Florida, obviously. You aren't going to get the snow cold there, but you can always come to Washington State.
Yeah. I was in Texas in November 2 or 3 years ago and it was freezing. I'm thinking I wasn't expecting that.
Right.
It did remind, I mean, because of course you see all the lights on the trees and things like that. Well, you put lights on trees here and you don't see them till about 10 o'clock.
Right. Right.
It's not quite the same, but I mean, but and I obviously I miss my family then, because I do come from a large family and we always used to get together for Christmas and things. But of course, now I'm the other side of the world. It's totally different. But
yeah. What about you, Allie? What's your favorite Christmas story that you've ever written?
Oh, wow. Probably the one with the cowgirls, because there were puppies involved, and you know me and animals, so that's when Bo and Dolly were introduced as Christmas presents to the family. So That's probably been one of my favorites.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, Julie, why do you
Mhm.
think Christmas stories are so popular?
Because it's the feel good factor. And we all need feel good, and we all need to, and you can get a book, a Christmas book, and you kind of pretty much know, unless you're into horror and things like that, that you're going to get a feel good vibe from it.
Yeah.
And I mean, as you say, we've all read lots and lots of Christmas stories, and we've watched lots of Christmas movies and things. And I think it's just sometimes you just want to sit there and just lose yourself in that time where, and in a way, it is timeless, Christmas, because it's, you just get the ambience of it. And I know we're not supposed to believe in Santa and stuff, and I don't, trust me, I don't, not now. But it's just the whole thing, eh? And I mean, and you've got the kids who love it, and they want to open the Christmas presents and things like that, and they get up at some ridiculous time in the morning, waking the parents. Can we go and open them now? No, it's 1 o'clock in the morning, and that kind of. But Christmas stories do that as well. I mean, like you get. I did write a list because then because I forget things. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. You've got Frosty the Snowman, all that kind of thing that when you're a kid you read. And I mean, as you get a bit older, you read things like the Snow Queen and the Little Match Girl, and obviously A Christmas Carol. There's all sorts of different books that you get that vibe from, and I think that's what people like, or at least I do. So.
Besides anthologies, have you done other collaborations on holiday or Christmas stories? Besides
No.
that you've already talked to. So
No,
have you ever written?
I don't, to be honest, anthologies, I don't really call that a collaboration, to be honest, because I'm not actually writing with someone. For me, a collaboration is if I write with someone.
I'm surprised that you and Erin never wrote a Christmas novella together.
She hated Christmas.
Oh, did she?
She was the humbug. She was the humbug.
Really? I did not know that.
I am telling you, she used to think I was mad.
So she never put a short story in for any of the anthologies? Oh my goodness.
No. I made her do one, I think. I think once. I think I made her. I just said, you need to. I don't like Christmas. There was a personal reason behind that, of course, but she used to, read me all the time at Christmas time, because I used to say, "Come on, Christmas is coming. We're getting Christmas tree." Oh God, humbug.
Yeah, that's why I was kind of glad that when you tasked us with writing a story together, that we picked the humbug, because that's me. It's just like
Do I have to?
I'm with Erin on that one.
Is that why we decide? I can't remember why we decided to do a lesbian version of A Christmas Carol. Was that the reason?
I don't know. We were just
we just spitballing things?
Yeah, we were just spitting out ideas, and it leaned in that direction, I guess.
Yeah, just whatever. I always I don't know about you, but I like retelling fairy tales, retelling classics. I think that's and it's interesting because I've never been. It's kind of like an offshoot of fan fiction, right?
Yeah.
Different kind of fan fiction, right?
With a lesbian twist, yeah.
Yeah, with a lesbian twist. And so that's probably why we were spitballing, and I probably threw that out. I was probably thinking of that and other kinds of retellings. But Julie, you started out in fan fiction, didn't you?
I did.
Yeah.
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, way back in the 90s.
So have you done other retellings of like holiday classics in any way?
Probably in the short stories, some of the short stories. I've done pretty much what you've done. I've chosen a story and kind of recreated the characters, you know, for the genre. But yeah, I have done that. Yes, for sure. But if you're going to ask me a title, please don't. People can look it up. I mean, they're free. They're free on the website. Read them. You might be able to decide where she came from.
Right. And then you can go back and, you know, read the original stories where you grab the characters from. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So anything else that you would like to share on this particular topic, either you or Allie?
Well, there is you may know, you may not know. Did you know that Charles Dickens was he was broke, and this is in 1843. He had no money coming in. His creditors were baying at the door pretty much. And when he wrote A Christmas Carol, his publisher turned it down. So he was pretty much desperate. So he used the last of his money to actually put it out himself. And the rest is history.
Wow, no, I did not know that. And you know what? Gosh, I might have to write a blog on that, because you know how I like to do research and blog about things. And
that is true. Well, as far as I know, it's true. I mean, you know,
that's an interesting story.
I want around, but
so he's self.
Yeah, apparently so. And he thought it might be the end of his career as a novelist, but of course it wasn't. It took off.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And I actually think that's where a lot of the Christmas books actually started, you know, Victorian times. And people got into doing that big time, because I mean, there's some fabulous books that have come out. I mean, it's a book, but it's also a movie, and I love It's a Wonderful Life.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, you know, it's just such a great storyline.
It is. That's my favorite, actually.
Yeah, it is a great storyline. And I like the Miracle on 34th Street. I mean, I just love that, because it's so feel good. It's just so feel good.
It is.
Yeah. And they made good movies out of them too. And I mean, I am a bit of an old music buff, so I actually like White Christmas or Holiday Inn, if you want the original version. Right. But I've got them both. Watch them both.
I also really like The Grinch. I think that's a fun story.
Yeah.
I've never watched that of all the. I've just never watched it.
The movie, The Grinch. It's pretty good with the version with Jim Carrey. I think is the best one.
They're bringing out another one. Yeah.
So what's on the horizon for you, Julie? What new books are coming out? I know you were working on something. You want to tell us about it?
Well, I have actually finally kind of finished. I'm saying finally, but kind of finished a novel that I started 4 years ago. And I have given the title out, so I am going to share it again. It's The Princess Needs a Wife. So, and it is contemporary-ish, and it's based literally on a socialite princess who is told to get married, and obviously she needs a wife. So I'm not going to say any more, because I haven't given any more information out.
That sounds great. You know, royal love stories are very popular, so I'm sure it's gonna do really well.
Yeah, when will it be out?
Well, originally it was a year ago. Then it kind of got put back because I didn't finish it, and then I was originally going to put it out in May 2025. However, I've just given that place up to a brand new author. But it is going to come out as soon as I've got it together properly. So I would say between May and July-ish, it'll come out. I mean, it'll be out at the same time as another book, but yeah.
Cool.
But yeah, so yes, because I know Ali has chased me quite a few times on it to get it finished. So
Right.
I have. I mean, I was actually. I mean, yesterday I was. I'm going through it again, but I have actually changed it 4 different times. So I'm getting a bit worried that I've messed it all up. But because if
Well,
we tinker forever, you know what happens.
Well,
Yeah.
I've got Heartbreak Hell coming out in July, so I think that would be a perfect time to put yours out as well.
There
Oh,
you go.
Tie you down to a date.
Well, it will be ready then, for sure. It will be ready then, because I mean, I'm like I say, I'm going through it again, and then it'll go into beta, and I'm sure lots of things will come up there, and then obviously, you know, the editing will all be done. But yeah, because when I actually took over basically Affinity a couple of years ago, I don't really write much anymore, and it's a shame because I love writing. I always have, but obviously I go in different directions. So it's you know, and I actually like to sit and write for hours rather than I start writing and somebody sends me an email. Can you tell me what's going on there and stuff? Until then, I take my mind off it and go and do something else. So I actually need to discipline myself a bit more in the new year, and that's what I'm going to do, and take some time away from Affinity and just say I'm not even looking at anything. But so that I can actually get a day or a couple of days in where I am actually just writing, because I do miss it. And so it's interesting times. So yeah, I'm hoping to do more. I mean, I've got so many bits and pieces written down, titles that I really like. You know, I actually like the title, and I'm thinking, oh, I could do a lot with that. And so I've got a lot of information and storylines sort of set up.
So, would you consider yourself a plantster or a plotter in your
I'm a
writing?
bit of both, actually. I'm a bit of both, because what I do is I actually write a skeleton and get maybe my main characters written down, the names and things and basically what they look like. And then when I start writing, I might do the first chapter how I intended it to be, and then it goes off on a tangent. And I'm thinking, I don't think I was supposed to be here. So kind of a bit of both, I guess. Probably more the seat of the pants kind of thing, maybe, probably.
Yep, that's a pantster.
Yeah.
Yeah. Probably.
Ellie
I'm
and I are
probably
both-
more geared up for that, yeah.
We're
But I
both
do
pantsters.
actually do a skeleton.
Okay.
Because it keeps me on focus then.
Allie, what's your next book that's coming out?
I've got Fairy Tale Farms in March.
March. Okay.
No, you haven't. You've got
No.
fairy Tale Farms in April.
April.
April. Okay.
You get it wrong every time.
Okay.
I'm
Fairy Tale
hoping
Farms
in
and
April.
Princess Needs a Wife. Those sound great.
We hope so, eh? We have to keep the doors open.
And you've got one coming out too, don't you, Annette?
Yeah, The Love Demand.
Okay.
Mhm.
And
I don't know. May? Julie?
No, that's March.
Oh,
The
that's
Love Demand
March.
is March.
Oh,
yes.
okay.
see, I'm trying to take your spot.
Yeah. You're trying
Yeah.
to pick the spot.
And then you've got the Kitten Trap. That's in June, I think. Hang on.
Is it?
Let me just move a little bit. Yes, the Kitten Trap is June.
Is
And
June.
then Heartbreak Hell is July.
July. All right.
Mhm. Okay.
Awesome. Sounds
I
great.
don't mind. I mean, you know, people will listen to this thinking, why don't they know when the books are coming out?
Because we're pansters and you
You
know,
don't read the contract.
and- yeah. Yeah, it's the same contract, and I just go, okay.
Not the same.
So, like, you could sneak in something, and I wouldn't even know. You're right.
Well, I don't ever do that, as you know, because I
I
always
know.
bold out things that are new because I know people do that. So if there's anything that I've changed in a contract, I'll make sure you are aware.
Yes, I know. All
'Cause
right.
it's the worst
So-
thing is actually signing something you don't like.
Yeah. So, Julie, thank you so much for joining us. Hopefully we'll get you back because that royal romance sounds really good, and that would be a great topic to talk about. We
Yes,
might-
it would.
I mean,
It'll be different. It'll be a
there's
little bit different.
there's a number of really popular authors out there that do those kind of so maybe we'll invite one of them to join us along with you to talk about royal romances. And yeah, so it's been great chatting with you. And
Well, this is a novel thing for me, as you know, because I'm not really into the live feed thing. I like to stay in the background.
You did a wonderful job.
you did and your reading, you did a great job on your reading too. I don't know what you
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. In the middle of it, I was coughing like anything.
What?
Can you actually do something about that?
Oh, we can.
Oh, thank you.
Alrighty. Well, I don't want to take up too much. We don't want to take up too much of anybody's time on a nice Sunday. And I know my wife wants to watch
Monday.
the Seahawks.
Monday.
Sunday for you. Well, Sunday for us. And there's Seahawks are playing today, so got to root for my team.
Oh, okay.
All right.
I'm not really into sport. Tennis maybe a little bit, but
Yeah.
not anything else really. Thankfully. But I do like tennis. Anyway,
enjoy the holidays. Enjoy happy Thanksgiving to everybody, and happy holidays as well. Because we probably will not be doing a podcast in December. We'll come back in January, and in January we'll probably be talking to some of our new authors. So that'll be fun.
well, I wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy Thanksgiving. I don't do Thanksgiving, of course, but yes, but Merry Christmas and all good things for the new year.
Absolutely. Happy holidays, everybody.
Yeah.